maybe I need to point this out. But what they're doing is they're tapping into existing audiences. They're sending out free money effectively, which at the time, it's probably not worth anything, but that's the beauty of sending out airdrops, is that even though the value at the time is very low, you got nothing to lose from taking on free money that may have the chance of increasing in value over time, which is exactly what's happened. Hello, Kingmakers. Welcome back. It's been a while since I made a video. I thought it was time to put something out there, and luckily Bonk is going bonkers. So from a marketing perspective, I would like to take a look at the token, what it's all about, and how they've been able to create a meme coin in the bear market on Solana that is currently sitting at about $200 million market cap, which is just insane. Let's crack into some of the documents. So as we can see, Bonk is currently sitting at $227 million market cap on CoinMarketCap. Very steady rise since, let's see when it launched, I suppose December 30th. On CoinMarketCap, I do believe it came out a little bit sooner than that, but a very, very steady increase so far. And again, I'd like to take a look at some of the marketing to see how they got here. So let's start off. I've scrolled to the bottom of the Bonk_Inu Twitter, which is their Twitter account, which is growing quite rapidly. They're currently sitting at 65,000 followers. I checked yesterday and they were like 53,000. So it's really picking up steam. And let's go through and kind of see the journey that they started on, because, these things never sort of start off one way and sort of have no course correction whatsoever. It usually starts out with something and then they sort of, course correct as they go. And as they find out what is working, that typically is a good time to pivot and that sort of thing. So they started on December 8th. So it's interesting. This is less than a month ago. And this token is now sitting at over $200 million market cap, only in crypto. So we are so excited to start sharing our Bonk airdrop partners with the community starting tomorrow. Right out the gate, I'm smiling. Airdrop partners. Something tells me that there's not much of a partnership going on, that they're just picking a bunch of projects and airdropping them. This is one of the cool things that I like about crypto, is that you can reward users or holders of other projects, right? Whether they're NFTs or tokens. And I think the example that really comes to mind, which funnily enough was pretty much exactly a year ago, was the SOS token, which some of you will remember. It launched on Christmas Eve 2021. And what they did was they airdropped I think 800,000 wallets. These were people that were users of OpenSea at the time that had transacted on OpenSea. And this thing went completely bonkers as well. And they had about 300,000 wallets claim the tokens, I think within 4 days or something like that. So this idea of airdropping tokens can be and has been seen in several examples that I've looked at, sort of case studies that I've looked at, has been a very, very effective way to get that initial awareness. And what's interesting too about Bonk, as I have looked into a little bit more, is, there's basically two ways to do airdrops. One is you sort of give somebody the opportunity to claim X amount of tokens based on their whatever parameters you set, right? So let's just say I allow this person to claim 100 tokens because they have done X amount of transactions on OpenSea. What's missing there is the awareness, right? They still have to find out about the project, go to some sort of claiming site and claim the tokens. What I find interesting about Bonk is that they have actually sent the tokens straight into the wallet. So there does not seem to be a claiming mechanism. And I think this is the best way to do it, because that kind of takes care of the awareness part. Somebody might get a notification from their wallet, or they check their wallet and they see, what is this token, Bonk? I've never heard about it. But then they see it in their wallet, and that kind of leads them to go and sort of research the project. But if they have to claim the tokens, then they still have to find out about the project somewhere before they can go and claim the tokens. And I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with Solana, so I don't know what transaction fees are like. On Ethereum, this would typically be an issue, because if you're trying to airdrop, 100,000 wallets or something like that, the gas fees would be quite high. Anyway, let's continue. So strong lineup of airdrop partners. Jonah Hill's going wild. A few of our initial launch partners, integrations for Bonk. Okay. There's nothing really astounding happening so far. One pager Bonk paper, a little bit of meme action going on. It doesn't seem like they've actually Yeah, I was just going to say that it doesn't seem like they've started airdropping at this point, but here we go. So holding Atadia IO, so 13,000 followers. They've airdropped this project. Gaming on Solana will be massive. Aurora project leading the charge, and their holders will be showered with bonk. So it looks like at this point they're starting to actually send out those airdrops. And I'm curious what's going on in the comment section if these holders are showing up. Nothing there. Okay, let's keep going. So who doesn't love a good mixer? Catalina Wales. So it looks like they're, just starting to airdrop these projects. This one has 78 comments, 44 comments. So it looks like they're starting to get a little bit of awareness out there at this point. Everyone's saying when airdrop. So what happened was here, by the looks of it, was they said Degen Fat Cats holders can gobble up their bonk airdrops coming soon. So somehow this would have gotten out there to the holders of this project. They start showing up in the comment section asking, when is this coming? When is this coming? Which is great. You start to build that anticipation. And let me tell you about anticipation for a second. Most people watching this are probably familiar on some level with dopamine, right? And dopamine is this chemical release that we have in the anticipation of a reward, right? So when they train monkeys to sort of, do some sort of work, like click a button, they give a reward to the monkey, they measure the dopamine response to the monkey. And what's really interesting, and also what I think is maybe a misconception about dopamine is not something that, there's no dopamine response when you get the reward. The dopamine response is in the anticipation of the reward. And there's all kinds of interesting research here as far as how you can use this in marketing, because obviously what you want to do is basically maximize the dopamine response. That is what's going to allow you to sort of dictate the future behavior of the person. And so it's really about the anticipation, right? And this is why if you look at concerts and that sort of thing, there's this big lead up, or comedy shows, there's this massive anticipation event. And what they're really trying to do here is maximize dopamine and sort of have that dopamine release associated with the main act of the comedy show, or have that dopamine response, associated with this airdrop and this project, so that people sort of come back for more, right? Because dopamine is incredibly addictive. So there's all kinds of really interesting research with dopamine. I'll just tell you a couple of things. So one thing, for example, was that they trained monkeys to do a certain task. They would give the monkey a reward every time they did the task. And then they started wondering, but what would happen to dopamine response if they got the reward every time they did the work, or like 75% of the time, 50% of the time, or 25% of the time. And what they found was that effectively the dopamine response was pretty much double, I believe, when the reward was given 50% of the time. So that's what the whole, that's what Las Vegas is built on, right? This kind of 50% chance of gaining something. That's how they maximize the dopamine response. Then I think another interesting piece on, let's say, the research on dopamine is basically when there is anticipation of reward, then you get the reward. And then there's basically, your prediction of the reward, and then you get the reward. And so the prediction is either going to be, the reward is either going to be lower than what you predicted, it's going to be the same as what you predicted, or it's going to be higher than what you predicted. And basically what they found is that you want to have a positive surprise. So where possible, you should try to, for example, if you can set the expectation like, hey, you do this, and I'm actually implementing this with one of my clients that I'm working with now, where we're actually going to have variable rewards. So somebody does something like going through a lesson, and then we're going to try to set an expectation like, hey, most people get 10 tokens when they do this lesson, or when they finish this lesson and take a quiz on it. And then they click some sort of button, and then it gets them like 12 tokens. So you see how we set the expectation at 10, they got 12. There's a positive surprise there, which maximizes the dopamine response, which increases the likelihood that they'll go do another lesson, right? So some really interesting things on dopamine. And so again, it's all about the anticipation. And so that's what you can kind of see in the comment section starting to happen here. So let's continue. What else is happening in the bonkosphere? They're continuing to release these airdrops effectively. And at this point, we can start to see Twitter has released the view count, so we can actually see what's happening. So DGods is obviously a big one. I believe they're now moving away from Solana. So they actually plan to give an airdrop to these people. And then I think at the end or later on here, they start to question whether they should do that or not. In any case, there's no real pivot here. They're just, and by the way, maybe I need to point this out, but what they're doing is they're tapping into existing audiences. They're sending out free money effectively, which at the time, it's probably not worth anything, but that's the beauty of sending out airdrops, is that even though the value at the time is very low, you got nothing to lose from taking on free money that may have the chance of increasing in value over time, which is exactly what's happened. So what they're doing is incredibly smart. they are giving away loads of tokens. They're giving it to holders of NFT projects. And through doing that, they know that if we give this to 50 projects, 20 projects, 100 projects, whatever, there's going to be one of them that really takes off in the sense that the owners of the NFT project, let's just play with an example, right? So let's say Lily NFT. Let's say they sent the airdrop to these people and the owners of the project see this and they actually start to talk about it and they start to tweet about it. Now they're tapping into the 21,000 followers or almost 22,000 followers of the Lily NFT, right? So that's what they're doing. It costs them absolutely nothing aside from, let's say, gas fees to just send out tokens for free to existing audiences. One of them is going to pop. As one of them pops, the thing is going to get more FOMO, more notoriety, more social status, and that increases the likelihood of a second project that has received the airdrop, mentioning it, talking about it on Twitter, and so on and so forth. So it's just a very smart way to do marketing, to sort of go from 0 to 1. There's not much more to say about that. And again, there's nothing else happening here at this point. They are just continuing to airdrop different projects. Then they're saying there will be staking, there will be raffles, yada, yada. So now they're talking about things that are going to come in the future, which is obviously very common in crypto. I think the caveat there is you want to be very careful because people are going to start holding projects more accountable in crypto because there's just been so many promises that have gone undelivered. And so if you make promises or if you're building up hype, let's say, you really want to make sure you deliver on that. Coming soon, borrow and lend Bonk. Okay, so now they're starting to actually get integrated with other projects in the Solana ecosystem outside of just airdropping random projects. So other projects that have utility in Solana are starting to integrate with them. And this is exactly what you would expect. Like I said, you start just airdropping random NFT projects. As some of them start to talk about you, your social status and the legitimacy of the project increases, even though it is just a fucking meme coin. That still happens. And so the perceived value, which I talk a lot about in my other videos, you might want to go check those out. The perceived value of the project increases as this happens. So then what you have is other people or other projects try to jump on the bandwagon. And so as you saw, borrowing and lending and that sort of thing starts to happen. And that further fuels the engine of the perceived value increasing and so on and so forth. Flip and raffles now support Bonk. So this is like, you can basically flip a coin, right? So you can put up some Bonk, flip a coin, you can double your money, or you can lose what you put up. But again, what's happening is they're getting more and more integrated into the ecosystem. The general awareness continues to increase. And then they have this one post, which you can see 85,000 views at this point. They just said, hey, we're going to be airdropping all of these tokens. Again, all you need here is one of these projects to retweet this, and now you got all that extra attention, right? So let's see if there's anything else to comment here. I've pointed out some of the main things, sort of the tactical side, the strategy, what's happening on a psychological level. We have over 10 partnership with Bonk Utility today, right? So they're getting more and more integrated into the Solana ecosystem. And then all you need to do is continue doing this, and you need to have a vision, right? You need to have a vision of how this thing is going to be used in the future, because what people are doing now, as people are faced with the decision of buying into Bonk at this point, where it's already sort of taken off from being this sort of unknown thing to now having a $200 million market cap, is you need to paint a vision of the future where this is going to exist. You know, you want people to think that this is going to be the next Shiba Inu or the next Dogecoin. And the way that you do that is through a vision. So they need to now start painting a picture of how this is going to be used in the future, getting people to the point of seeing the potential future value being even higher than it is now. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else to comment on their website. So this is the website. Bonk is the first Solana dog coin for the people, by the people, with 50% of total supply airdrop to the Solana ecosystem. So they've increased it from, they started off saying 20% and now it's 50%. The Bonk contributors were tired of toxic Alameda tokenomics and wanted to make a fun meme coin where everyone gets a fair shot. So this is what's drawing people in, right? Everybody wants a fair shot. So the people that are into meme coins, they heard the story of the one guy who bought, $5,000 worth of Shiba Inu and became a billionaire, or what have you. Let's check out the Bonk paper. I had a quick read at this, and the one thing that I will point out sort of from a marketing standpoint that they're doing is that, let's see here. So Bonk strives to become the true community coin of Solana to be used far and wide across the many great dApps of this flourishing ecosystem. So again, speaking of the vision, this is something they'd want to get a little bit more clear on as far as what that actually looks like. Bonk will not sit in the hands of VCs. Instead, it will be held by those that form the social layer of this formidable network. So this is playing to the us versus them. And this is what they continue to kind of build on a little bit more here in the Bonk paper. But effectively what they're doing is they're painting the VCs as the bad guys. And they're saying that, hey, come join us. We are the good guys. So 50% of tokens will be airdropped to the NFT degens and DeFi traders that fearlessly go to battle as the world outside crumbles. Allocations aim to align incentives and ensure that Bonk continues to thrive well into the future. Yeah, so they're being too abstract as far as the vision goes. So if the Bonk team is watching, here's what you need to do. You need to paint a very clear picture, and I'll give you an example. Cardano does this better than anybody, right? If you look at Cardano, what's really interesting is in the 2021 bull run, they reached almost $100 billion market cap, which is absolutely insane. Now, the thing about Cardano is they are notoriously known for having quite low levels of developer activity, which is like, a layer one is really as valuable or as useful as the developer activity and the dApps in that ecosystem. Now, I've looked at it like, let's say, I think it was like 3,500 plus VC funded crypto projects, and only 8 of them are building on Cardano, which is just one metric that backs up the claim that there is relatively low developer activity on Cardano. So then as a marketer, this is incredibly fascinating to me, right? $100 billion market cap, almost, very little developer activity. What's missing? What's the gap? How can you do that? How can you pull that off? Okay, the answer is vision, okay? If you go to Charles Hoskinson's Twitter, which I will do right now, you will see that the pinned tweet of Charles Hoskinson is really pointing out the vision of Cardano. Cardano is an open platform that seeks to provide economic identity to the billions who lack it by providing decentralized applications to manage identity, value, and governance. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a fantastic vision, and this is largely responsible for Cardano reaching $100 billion market cap almost, despite low levels of developer activity. The reason why is because people are not buying Bitcoin today at 16K because they think it's going to go to 10. They're buying it because they think it's going to go to 100, meaning it's all about what is the future perceived or potential value of this token. So this is why people have bought into Cardano, because Cardano is out there saying, hey, we're going to go to Africa and we're going to use the Cardano technology to make all these things possible. And so they're painting a picture or painting a scenario where billions of people have to use Cardano as they solve these problems. And what happens if billions of people are using Cardano? Well, the number goes up. Like I said, the Bonk people have done this a little bit, but they're too abstract, right? So you can see how Cardano gets very specific about it. And then most of their content, they're sort of reinforcing this idea. And so the formula really for a great vision is basically saying that we are solving problem X for like loads of people, or we are giving this benefit to X amount of people. So you can see here that the problem that they're solving is they seek to provide economic identity to the billions. Remember how I said to lots of people? Microsoft had a very, very good vision back in the day, which was a desktop computer on every desk in the world or something like that, or a desktop computer in every home in the world or something along those lines. So it's like some benefit / solving some kind of problem for loads of people. And then you just need to go into details if you're backing this up in your content, you just go into details. So Cardano, they really, I'm not throwing any shade, by the way, at Cardano. It's like they've set out to do this, and the jury's still out whether they're going to be successful or not. But the reason for their high market cap so far has not been because of they're actually solving those problems. It has been because of the vision. So this is what the Bonk crew needs to do if they want to put this thing on steroids. And with that, let's see if there's anything else worthy of mentioning in the Bonk paper. Take this network back into its own control with Bonk leading the charge. So again, just very abstract. They need to get more specific here about the vision if they want to put this thing on steroids. Distribution. Yeah. So that's really it. I think we've covered the main pillars of why this thing has been successful. Then FOMO kind of kicks in and does its thing, right? But at the end of the day, they made a token. They started sending it out to people. They tapped into existing audiences. They've utilized anticipation really well by letting these projects know that they will be airdropping them before the airdrop has actually arrived. And then this thing is just kind of built on its own from there. They've started to get integrated into the ecosystem. And then at the end of the day, one thing I talk a lot about also is timing. Timing is one of the main factors in your success. And people are just kind of sick of the bear market, sick of the excitement in crypto. Just hasn't been there for a long time. You got the SPF fiasco and all the other things happening. And so timing wise, people have just been starving for something exciting. And so there's a lot of that happening as well. But in any case, if you are a Web3 marketer or a founder of a project, I hope that you found this useful. So when you go out there and create your own project, you can maybe take some of the things that the Bonk crew has utilized to make this a success, and you can utilize some of those things or strategies and tactics in your project. And with that, subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, you should. If you're not convinced yet, you should go and watch some of the other content where I continue to teach you more about the all the underlying things that are going on as far as being successful with marketing in crypto. So that's it. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Ciao.